Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode about English. Today, I'm going to talk about something super important. Sometimes it could be even more important than using correct grammar or choosing the right word. And this is the correct pronunciation of people's names. You might think, what's so complicated about pronouncing a person's name, and why is it so important? As speakers of English as a second language, we might assume a certain pronunciation of a name based on the way it's spelled, but our assumption may actually be incorrect. Many people see their names as a part of their identity, and trust me, if you end up constantly mispronouncing someone's name, they might feel irritated. Now, why are we talking about this? If you've watched some of my other videos, you might know that I grew up in Bulgaria but now live in the US. And in the US, there are people from all over the globe. That means tons of names that might be unfamiliar to many people. Also, as you probably know, English is not a phonetic language and words are pronounced differently from the way they're spelled. But names are on another level. Many times they don't even follow the standard rules of American spelling and pronunciation. Oh, and these English vowels, they can be so challenging to pronounce. According to research, 73% of people reported that their names are commonly mispronounced. Almost half of them said they saw this as a sign of disrespect. Some people even felt upset and alienated. By the way, let me know in the comments if people mispronounce your name. If yes, how does it make you feel? I'm pretty lucky that my first name is quite easy. My last name, on the other hand, gives many people a headache. So today I'm going to share with you some pairs or groups of American names that could be challenging for non-native speakers to pronounce because of their non-standard spelling or pronunciation. The first pair is the male name Al versus the female name L. The difference is in the pronunciation of the vowel. The man's name Al is pronounced with the same vowel that we have in the words cat and apple. To pronounce it, we have to drop the jaw low and spread the corners of the lips a little. The tip of the tongue is resting behind the lower teeth and the back is a little higher and pushing forward. The vowel A is followed by a dark L. The dark L usually comes at the end of a word or syllable. If you're a Spanish speaker, make sure not to make it too soft, so touch only the tip of the tongue behind the upper teeth and don't allow the blade and the front of the tongue to touch the upper palate. Otherwise, the L will be too soft. Ow, ow, and not al. If you're a Brazilian or Bulgarian speaker, make sure not to round your lips for the L because this can make it sound like a W. W. It's ow, not ow. To pronounce the woman's name L, we need to use the vowel as in bed, the piece of furniture we sleep on. For E, the jaw is a little higher than for the A. L. L. Nice and short. It's very important to keep the quality of the vowels. I know that as in cat is challenging for many speakers because in many languages it doesn't exist. That's why many speakers tend to substitute it with E. But if you do that here, the other person might misunderstand what name you're saying. After the vowel E in the woman's name L, we have a dark L. Now, let's say both names again. Come on, do it with me. Al, L. Al, L. By the way, you can apply the same rules to the names Alan and Ellen, which differ only in the first vowel A versus E. These names are quite popular as well. Okay, the next pair of names is the male name Carl and the female name Carol. By the way, here's something interesting. In Poland, Karol is a male name, but in the US, it's a female name. Carl has only one syllable. Carol has two syllables. The vowel in the first syllable could also be different. For the man's name Carl, we use the vowel A as in father or car, and for the woman's name Carol, we use as in cat and apple. Some people say Carl with A as in father, but in the US, I mainly hear Carol with A as in cat. Let's first pronounce Carl. We start with car, you know, like the vehicle you drive, car. The first sound is the voiceless velar stop k. In this case, because we have only one syllable, the syllable is stressed by default. And because the stop k comes at the beginning of the stressed syllable, we have to aspirate it. This means that we release an extra puff of air after k. Car. After the aspirated k, we have the vowel a as in father. To pronounce a, we drop the jaw. Make sure that your tongue is laying low behind the lower teeth and is pulled back. Then quickly lift the tongue and press both sides of the tongue against the upper teeth to pronounce the American R. Make sure the tip of the tongue is not touching anywhere in the mouth. Then we add the dark L. To pronounce the dark L, you don't have to, but you could touch the tip of the tongue behind the upper teeth, but make sure that the rest of it is low and slightly pulled back. If you allow the tongue to go up and touch the upper palate, you're going to make it too soft and you will pronounce the light L instead. You actually don't have to touch the tip of the tongue behind the upper teeth. You can keep it in the middle inside your mouth, like for the American R, but make sure that it stays low. Carl, Carl. Let's now look at how to pronounce the female name Carol. It has two syllables and the first syllable is stressed. Carol. We start with the aspirated voiceless velar stop k. Remember to aspirate the k. And then as in cat. Again, for the a, we open the mouth and drop the jaw. We keep the tip of the tongue behind the lower teeth, but lift the back of the tongue slightly higher and forward. Then we followed it with the American R. We're now in the second syllable, roll, which is unstressed, and because it's unstressed, the vowel is reduced to a schwa. The schwa is the most relaxed vowel in English. It sounds like nice and short. The lips are slightly open, and the tongue is super relaxed, And at the end, we have the dark L. See how the schwa here connects the and the o? Roll, Carol. Okay, now let's say both names. Do it with me. Carl, Carol. Carl, Carol. Good job. Next, we have Aaron and Erin. These two names are spelled differently, but many people pronounce them the same way. Actually, even Americans can't agree on the difference between Aaron and Erin.
Aaron Baskerville. Aaron Baskerville. Aaron Baskerville.
I think he says it the same way you do, Aaron.
I hear you both say it the same way. I don't say it the same, but you and Aaron and Erin pronounce Aaron the same.
Well, let me say, I always ask people, how do you say your name?
I say Aaron. Erin.
Erin. And how do you say?
Aaron Baskerville.
You should tell Aaron that.
All right.
You may disagree.
Aaron and Erin.
But wait, Aaron.
That's Philly. That's
not
Philly
Aaron.
Some people pronounce Aaron with distinct as in cat and Aaron with a very clear e as in bed. But many Americans claim that these two names are pronounced the same way. So if you're confused, don't worry, you're not alone. But what we agree on is that both names are pronounced with two syllables, with a stress on the first one. The second syllable is unstressed. Run. Let's try. Aaron or Aaron. Aaron. Next, we have three names, and they are Don, Dom, and Dan. If you don't hear any difference between the male name Don and the female name Dawn, don't panic. It depends on the speaker's accent. In some areas, there was a merger of the vowels that come in the words cat and caught. This is known as the cat-caught merger, where traditionally the more rounded vowel aw that comes in words like caught and law is pronounced the same way as the vowel ah that comes in the word father. That's why many people pronounce Don and Dawn the same way. On the other hand, the name Dan has the vowel as in cat, but because a comes before the nasal consonant n, it's practically pronounced like with a very short schwa. This name is often shortened from the name Daniel, but it can be a separate name as well. Now let's try to pronounce all three. Let's start with Dan because it's easier to distinguish from Don and Dawn. To pronounce the vowel, drop your jaw, keep the tip of the tongue behind the lower teeth, the back of the tongue pushes forward. Dan, Dan. Now, Don. Keep your tongue behind the lower teeth, but now we also want the whole tongue to be down and backwards. Don, Don. And because the caught vowel merger is definitely not universal, let's try to pronounce dawn with more rounded lips. Drop the jaw the same way you did for ah and dawn, but round the lips. Aw, dawn, dawn. Just make sure not to say down. Dawn is spelled with A-W, but we don't pronounce it with a diphthong ow as in now. As long as you don't say down, you'll be fine. Okay, the next pair, Ivon and Ivon, could be confusing because in some languages there is a male name spelled like Ivon, but pronounced as Ivon or Ivon. Ivon is a two-syllable name, and Americans pronounce it with a stress on the first syllable, which is the diphthong I as in my. The second syllable, vn, is unstressed and is pronounced with a schwa. Ivon. Ivon, on the other hand, is a female name. In the US, it's most commonly spelled with a Y, but you can sometimes see it spelled with an I. It can be confusing because the American pronunciation of Ivon sounds almost the same as the man's name Ivon from other countries. Again, it depends on the region and the person's accent when it comes to how rounded the second vowel A is. So, to pronounce Ivon, we start with the high E vowel that comes in words like see, leave, or machine. Then we touch the lower lip to the upper teeth to produce the V sound. Then we have the A as in cock, and we end it with a nasal consonant M. As I mentioned before when I discussed the vowel in the name Dawn, some people pronounce the second vowel in Ivon with unrounded lips. A as in father, Ivon. This makes it sound more like the male version as it's pronounced in many other languages. That's why this name can be confusing to many non-native English speakers. Okay, so these are the names I chose for today's video, but I have a list of more names that I can share with you if you guys are interested. Let me know in the comments if there are any American names that you find confusing. Pronouncing names correctly, as I said in the beginning of this video, is super important because for many people their name is a part of their identity. Okay friends, if you enjoyed this video, click on the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'm really happy to have you here. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!